G'day, I'm Troy, and this is the Comic Book Movie Collector's Guide, the show about collecting all things superhero cinema. And today we're going to take a gander at the Incredible Hulk, the 1966 cartoon series on DVD. And we're going to try and answer the question, is this a classic or a chaotic mess? Let's get into it. The Incredible Hulk is an animated superhero cartoon that went for one season, containing 13 episodes with a runtime of 21 minutes each. The cartoon was part of an umbrella series called the Marvel Superheroes, a half-hour program made up of 3 7-minute segments of a single superhero. The show also featured cartoons of 4 other heroes: the Submariner, Iron Man, the Mighty Thor, and Captain America. It debuted in syndication on US television from the 1st of September 1966 through to the 1st of December 1966. The cartoon was released on DVD as a 2-disc set only in the UK by Liberation Entertainment on the 25th of August 2008, with no Blu-ray or 4K HD release as of this video. The show was produced by Grantray-Lawrence Animation and Marvel Comics Group and distributed by Krantz Films. Okay, so usually I have the disc in case right here, but I don't for this one. Look, I really wanted to do the whole 5 series in a row, and because of how expensive it is to get the this one, I've decided to do it without the disc in case. But I've done the best I can to find everything I can up here, so you'll see the discs up here and you'll see the case. As far as I'm aware, this is the only release separate, and then you can get a pack that has 66, 96 and 81 series, all 3 of them together, which I'll also have up here. As you can see, I like the look of that case. It looks good with the Hulk and then and Bruce in front of me, very reminiscent of the first issue of the Hulk. It looks really good, and of course the discs look good too, with one of Hulk and one of Bruce of that front cover, but separate. I really like the look of that. Overall, I think it looks good. It's probably one of the better looking ones of the series. So for that, look, I'm probably going to give this an 8 out of 10. Now for me, the stories in this show are just, chaotic and just all over the shop at times. It was just so hard to follow the story, as it was just jumping around from one thing to another, and sometimes there was just nothing in between that tied anything together, that I found myself a few times actually stopping, rewinding what I just watched to see if I'd missed something. But alas, there was nothing to miss.
Did I miss something here?
Nope.
Why? Because there was just nothing to explain, because they just left it out. Anyway. Now, I found this on the net, and this really explains why some of the scripts were like they were. As you can see, some episodes, they have like 3 comics worth of story jammed into one episode, so it's not hard to see why some parts of the story just got left on the cutting room floor.
No, we don't have time for that.
There was one thing I did notice about this, and it was very much of its time, with very, how can I put it, misogynistic dialogue towards Betty, with stuff like, this is man's talking, you wouldn't understand because you're a woman, you know, that all that type of shit. And it's just like she was there just purely to pine over Bruce, and that was it. Let's just say this shit wouldn't fly today, that's for sure.
You're a woman, and frankly, you wouldn't understand.
This is probably the worst of the shows for its story and its script. So look, for that, I'm only going to give this a 7 out of 30. As I've mentioned before in my previous videos about these series, the stories and the artwork were all lifted straight from the comic books at the time. Now, this one reeks of copycat story, kind of like the Submariner was with King Arthur. So for me, this seemed like the Hulk. He kind of looked a lot like Bela Lugosi's Frankenstein, and as you can see here, I think I'm right. And then the Hulk story of a man and a monster, it's just the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So straight to Google I went, and bugger me dead, that old cheeky Stan, he did it again with yet another inspiration, if you will.
I didn't steal, I borrowed.
Another thing I found weird was their interpretation of the American army as just being all like hot-headed, brash, arrogant, and at times just plain stupid, especially General Ross, who, God, if he was real, he would have caused bloody World War III a dozen times by the end of the 60s.
Now it's time for war.
Now, the animation in this one is probably mid-range. It's not great, but it's not the worst either. So really nothing of note there. And the same with the voice actors, which I have the list up here of everyone that did a good job, but no one really stood out, shall we say. Yet again, old John Vernon pops up as Major Glenn Talbot, which not only does he sound like Iron Man, he even bloody looks like him. And it just kind of throws you off at times. But anyway, look, I'm only going to give this a 10 out of 20. So this has no special features, which is the norm for these releases, as we've established. It's just the episodes, and that is it. If you are looking for more, there is not too much out there on YouTube about the show. Well, anything of note worth anyway. So with that, as this is about the DVD, I'm going to give this a 0 out of 10. Now, the critic score came in at 0% and the audience score came in at 0%. We've kind of established that Rotten Tomatoes has nothing for this show, but as usual, IMDb comes through with a score of 6.5 out of 10. This show is probably the worst one, but not dramatically worse. It's kind of on par, but it's probably the least consistent of the 5 shows, so I thought this score would be lower. Anyway, look, if we round it up, we're going to get a score of 6 out of 10. Now, I do remember this one on early Saturday morning cartoons as reruns with Iron Man, but the one thing I don't remember was how terrible the stories were as a kid. But I suppose when you're a kid, that's not really what you're focused on. So I was interested in seeing this one for a bit of nostalgia value, but as I quickly realised I was going to be disappointed! Though there is one thing I did like watching through the series, and that is the evolution of Hulk's story, and how many things that are lore now for Hulk's origins weren't really set in stone in the beginning, like in these early stories. And they really were, how can I put it, really throwing shit to the wall and see what stuck. Like how he changed into the Hulk. At first it was only at night like a werewolf. That only lasted a couple of episodes, and then it was like he had to have this gamma gun to change him back and forth, and then it was, oh, he got excited, and when he got angry then he turned back into Bruce Banner, which of course kind of got changed to what it is now.
Don't get the Hulk angry. You won't like him when he's angry.
So that was one interesting thing to watch, was his evolution. But not much else. It was a bit of a rough watch due to the chaotic stories and average animation. So not exactly my fave out of the 5 shows. Now, because I don't have the DVD, I can't let you know if the episodes are in order on the DVD, as I couldn't really find anything out there on the net. I just watched an old bootleg copy I got many years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Which of course has the episodes as they are here. So if you're lucky enough to have the DVD, why don't you let me know in the comments down below and let me know if they're in order or not. I'd love to know. Anyway, so with that, I'm only going to give this a 6 out of 20. So first up is collectability, and if we look at the collector scale, I would say this would be for your comic book geek and up, as it's really only something for your series collector or for someone with that nostalgia value. Now, as far as availability goes, this one is on the very rare side of things, as this would probably be the second hardest one to track down out of the 5 shows, just behind the Submariner, as there was only a couple of copies out there for sale as of the time of this video, so you will really have to do some searching out there to track down a copy on the second-hand market. As far as your average price goes, you are looking at anywhere between $70, which was about the cheapest I could find, all the way up to the high end of $250 for DVD, which is very pricey indeed for this DVD set. So it does pay to search around for a bargain. And of course, as usual, there is nothing here for Blu-ray or 4K as of this video. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 37 out of 100. Wow, that's the worst score out of all of the shows. And I was hoping this would be one of the better ones anyway. So look, we asked the question, was this a classic or was this a chaotic mess? This was just a downright chaotic mess. I'm not sure if this was just down to just too much story for an 18-minute cartoon, or that maybe the Hulk actually wrote it and animated it himself. That would probably make sense.
It's not Hulk! Hulk swear!
Hey, so if you like this video, I have more reviews for you right there. Or maybe you'd like to see some of my collection updates. I've got you covered too. Why don't you check that one there? And of course, don't forget to do the most important thing on your way out. Throw me a bat like. Don't forget to hit that subscription button too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.